Once a building has reached the end of its lifespan, has become damaged beyond repair, or if developers simply have to make way for new construction, it is demolished. The process by which this is done is incredible, having to be precise so as not to damage any of the surrounding structures or injure spectators. Unfortunately, sometimes things don't go according to plan. That's where we come in. Detailing stories of when these demolitions go wrong is something of a cautionary. From falling the wrong way to damaging nearby structures, here 5 building demolitions that went horribly wrong. When buildings get destroyed, there is usually an incredible amount of calculating done before the actual demolition takes place. This is to ensure that there is little to no collateral damage, but at the very least, you want to make sure that you actually get the job done right so you don't have to come in, later on, to finish up. Well, someone forgot to tell the demolition crew in this video, which was taken in Kankiri, Turkey. The building seen in this video is a former flour factory that had been abandoned after the company went under. It was originally built in 1928 and was nearing the end of its life anyway. As you can see, much of the base of the nearly 80-foot structure had already been chipped away, just waiting for that last explosion to send it crumbling into a pile of rubble. Well, that was the plan. When the explosives were detonated on the remaining side, the building didn't collapse. It rolled over onto its roof, staying intact the entire time. No one could believe what they were seeing. Everything went as wrong as it could possibly go. Eyewitnesses described the panic from everyone when they saw this huge structure tumbling toward a row of apartment buildings nearby. Luckily, nobody was injured and no other buildings were damaged. When demolitions involve explosive charges, crews work relentlessly to figure out where the main supports of the building are, where to set the charges, how powerful to make the explosion, and even when to detonate the charge. When done properly, it results in a structure simply falling straight down. But if there is a slight miscalculation, things can happen much differently than intended. This video was shot in Denmark, where a giant 170-foot silo needed to be brought down. In the shadow of the large silo sat the city's library and cultural center. Demolition experts set the charges and cleared out a safe place around the silo. With the library being inside that zone of safety, the charges were detonated and the structure started to fall. However, one side of the silo did not completely crumble. This caused it to tilt towards the cultural center, eventually falling and damaging a significant portion of the building, which included administrative offices, an archive and a music school. Witnesses could not believe what they were seeing. Many reported that when the silo landed, books and papers from inside the library were sent flying through the air. An investigation was immediately conducted to figure out what caused the tower to switch sides. It was determined that the explosives were not set correctly, thereby causing the silo to list in the opposite of its intended direction. Luckily, no one was injured in this incident. Not every demolition requires a huge team of experts to come out and set explosive charges. Those jobs are mostly reserved for large buildings that are in an urban area. So when it comes to large structures that are privately owned and out in the middle of a rural area, it is more left up to the owners of the structure to get it done. Many times these owners are nothing more than someone like a farmer or a small business owner just trying to get things done without paying a third party a huge fee. However, it doesn't mean that things are less dangerous, and it still requires just as much planning and precision as the larger jobs. The next video proves that exact point. In Pell City, Alabama, a group of people were working to tear down a smokestack, but they didn't have explosives. All they had was a large backhoe that they were using to chip away at the foundation of the large structure. Bit by bit, the operator tore out the bricks. Eventually the weight was too much and the structure fell. At first it went straight down, but it stopped and switched directions towards the backhoe. The operator tried to turn to protect himself, but it was to no avail. The large brick smokestack collapsed onto the backhoe, burying it underneath hundreds of pounds of bricks and debris. Onlookers, fearing the operator was badly hurt, rushed in to check on him. But he emerged from the cab visually shaken and a little beat up. However, he was alive. As the drone footage shows, a large portion of the structure actually crashed through the top of the cab, encroaching into the operator's space. But the overall integrity held up, protecting him from what would otherwise have been a death sentence. This video has become one of the most viewed demolition videos on the internet. In the Czech Republic, in the city of Prostějov, stood a building that used to be a clothing factory. With the company in bankruptcy and the building abandoned for a number of years, it was time to be brought down in order to make way for new construction. So the demolition team was brought in. The calculations were done and the charges were set. As cameras rolled and the crowd looked on from a very safe distance, the explosions started going from left to right. It was a picture-perfect demolition. The building wasn't going in one direction or another. Rather, it fell straight down. Everyone in the crowd was in awe. That is, until a large piece of debris shot out from the explosion and just past the heads of the onlookers, including the cameraman. Even though they were over a quarter mile away from the blast, it was still not far enough. When looked at again, the piece of rock looks to be about the size of a softball. It flies at a very fast rate through the trees and between the heads of about 5 people. Luckily, no one was seriously injured in this demolition. In this video, we see a Chinese high-rise apartment building dominating the city skyline. However, it needed to be brought down in order to make room for another construction project scheduled to be started soon after. The plan was to have the structure fall in 2 halves, but as you will see in this video, that's about the only thing that went right. As soon as the explosions detonated, you can see the left half of the building start to collapse as it should have. However, it suddenly stopped and then changed direction, falling onto its side rather than just straight down. The right side was much worse. It fell straight down for a short time before stopping. It tilted and wobbled a little bit, but ended up staying upright. It was possibly the most dangerous situation any demolition crew could find themselves in. This building was well over 20 stories tall. Not only did the one section fall at a terrible angle, damaging other structures and vehicles along the way, the second half was left standing in a very precarious way. Now they had to somehow tear down this massive unstable structure without damaging anything around it. It put the lives of many of the workers in jeopardy. Eventually, it was torn down without any injury. Demolitions are definitely spectacular to watch, but these videos illustrate just how much danger is involved. When things go right, they look amazing. When they go wrong though, they go wrong in a huge way. To see more videos, like and subscribe us. Thanks for watching and tune in next time.